one other thing that came to mind is I think that there's an important piece to this whole that you might miss. There's a whole setup phase before this big battle even happens that should be definitely taken into account, right? Like are the players prepared for this type of battle, right?
Yeah.
Do they need extra allies? Should they be like going to nearby, kingdoms or towns or cities or whatever and being like recruiting people, right? Like are there, and they should also be a part of like the strategy, right? So like let's say, you know, the king is bringing in his generals, like he should include the players and let the players help decide, hey, like let's this is how we want to run this. This is how we expect like the orcs to come in. Like how do we want to, adjust? How do we want to maneuver troops? How do we want to do this and let players help strategize the big game? That actually kind of makes it easier for you as a like for me at least as a DM, I think, is like to be able to like, hey, like I get, you know, I'll let the players plan this session for me, and then all
hmm
I got to do is like fill in a little bit of the holes, I guess. So
Yeah, no, and to your point, I played in a campaign where this was like a long 3 to 5 year campaign. I think it was closer to 5 years that we played, from level 8 to like level 19, and somewhere at like level 16, one of the backstories of the players, he had his own like kind of gang or group that he had back
yeah,
when that pulled off jobs, and while our group was off doing one thing, they sent this one player with his kind of covert group to go take care of this other objective because there were two things that they needed to do, but they didn't want to split the party. We didn't have enough people.
right,
And so we effectively kind of left our players behind, and this one player kept his character, and we all made new characters and did this like one shot on the side of the campaign that was part of the campaign, and it was a heist. Um,
that's cool.
it was
Yeah,
and we had to come up with, we were this group of dragonborn people, so we were all dragonborns.
mm,
It was really fun, and we had to plan a siege, and we had to get people on our side. And so for a one shot, it took maybe 6 or 7 sessions. But politically, we had to talk to people, gain some allies, that we had previously, and convince them to do this. And we ended up getting some airships to go in and drop us in behind the gate, and we then kind of fought our way through backwards as they were getting pummeled from the other side of the gate, and then opened the gate for the army, and we come in, and so we ended up, yeah, kind of planning the session. He had, kind of what, this is the stronghold, how are you getting in? There was
yeah,
no real like answer to it, and we just kind of came up with our own solution, and it was really fun. It was very fun, very open. And for the DM, I mean, my guess is he didn't have a ton of prep that he had to do, except for just letting us do what we wanted to do. And it was very enjoyable. And there was a lot going on, but it was focused on us
yeah.
and what we were doing. The little covert group, even though there was an army at the gates, an army with us, a couple other airships, there were people all over the ground. It was very
Gosh,
enjoyable, but it
that's
felt like a
awesome.
lot was going on.
Yeah, because it's like if you think about that as a DM, like you only have so much time to like prep, and you only got so
hmm
much capacity to come up with things like that. But like, and as a DM, like I've watched this happen so many times. You know, I've watched things shift as they go, and they become better a lot of the times. Like my players
hmm
have ideas that change the way that I would expect an outcome to happen, or just the collective group like comes up with a better solution than I could have ever imagined, right? And so the benefit to that is that you can literally, you can delegate this prep time onto your players by having it just be a part of the game, right? To where like players come up with their solution to this future problem, and then all you've got to do is to go, okay, cool, like this is how we're going to do this. Like now I'm going to just, fill in all these little holes, and you're good to go. Like I love that. I absolutely love that. Make your players work hard. And honestly, like they're gonna be much more happy, right? Like I think that like your
Oh
players will
yeah.
just be happier to know that like, oh, our plan, the one that we came up with, not just some like random NPC general. Right? Like our plan like worked. We won. We beat the siege. we fended off this huge army, whatever it may be. Um, I think that the player satisfaction is much higher when it's like they're doing, in my opinion. But
Correct. I
yeah,
agree. And D&D is a collaborative storytelling game. You are creating a story, but at the same time the players have to write their own history.
mm,
And so by letting them kind of come up with their own plans that you don't just give them and have them execute it, and you acting super surprised in the way that they come up with stuff is very rewarding, and it makes
yeah,
them want to continue doing it. It makes them so much more engaged in the campaign now because it's like, yeah, we did that. Like we're part of history now. Like that was dope.
exactly.